So, No Man's Sky. Well, it's a video game, and we've actually played it. Yeah, that's good. Um, um,
Here's our review of it.
yeah. Well, if you haven't guessed yet, this is going to be a pretty weird one because, well, it's also going to be a bit awkward as well. The thing is, we actually have a lot to say about No Man's Sky, but at the same time, we don't. Confused yet? Alright, good, let's begin. With No Man's Sky being one of the most hyped things since God talked to Moses, naturally, we had to check this out because, that is kind of what we do here on this channel, video game reviewing. It's what we do. Among the many other things which has divided our audience. Yeah, anyway. So we got our hands on a copy and played it. For a long time. And it left us with a number of emotions, such as confused, sad, angry, bewilderment, and finally acceptance of what was presented before us. Punishment.
Yeah, so, we didn't like it. Now, please don't dislike the video just yet, okay? At least hear us out.
Then you can dislike it.
So we turn the game on, and it starts. No menu, just begins. Okay, so your character has no name and no personality, and with that, you travel from planet to planet, you mine stuff, scan life forms, and you can name things that you discovered. Like planets! Yeah, you can name a planet. That's pretty cool. You can also engage into space battles, communicate with alien beings via discovering monoliths, and follow the main objective, which is to travel to the center of the universe. But all of that is really secondary. The main point of this game is exploration. The game uses a randomization formula to generate an infinite amount of planets with different environments and creatures, which you as the nameless explorer can travel to. And we have to admit, the transitioning from surface to space was quite impressive, as there was no notable load times or pop-in moments.
Harvesting is a huge importance here, as you will need to find minerals and craft them to give you what you need to get off the planet. It's Minecraft, pretty much, just in space. Oh, funny thing, if the randomizer starts you off on a hostile planet, it can become very hard to get off that first planet. Talk about first impressions. Okay, so here's the part that really tripped us up. The game offers no hand-holding, other than, well, the vague tutorial that you get at the start of the game, which isn't much of a tutorial. Now, a lack of hand-holding is one thing, and trust us, we're not pro or against it. But you still have to give us some structure. Now, this is an open-world sandbox game. We get it. And many of its proponents will say that it is a throwback to old retro games, like The Legend of Zelda. When you start that game, there is no hand-holding either, and you're left on your own to figure things out and to use your wits. But here's the thing about The Legend of Zelda. That game came with an instruction manual, like minigames back in the day, that gave you an overview of who you were, the world that you were in, and what your overall objective was. And besides, if you're going to compare No Man's Sky to any retro game, it really should be Simon's Quest, a game that left you clueless even with a manual. But we digress. While playing No Man's Sky, we literally spent hours just wandering around without the foggiest idea of what we were supposed to do. I mean, it really got to the point where we started to wonder if we were doing something wrong. Were we screwing up? Were we just not seeing what the game was trying to tell us to do? So with that, the game became very boring. Obviously, this is a game that you're supposed to play for hours on end. And little by little, maybe, if you're lucky, the main story will reveal itself to you. But you have to kind of give us a hook, you know? A reason to keep playing. It honestly felt like I was just wasting my time here.
I need a hook. I need the thing of No Man's Sky. I need to know, okay, we're getting to the center of the galaxy, great, but what am I doing? I'm going to a planet and I'm just smelling the flowers and then I fly somewhere else?
Look, the exploration bit is something that can be really fun. Like, if this was a Star Trek game, it would be a great fit. You're a Starfleet officer and you just got promoted to captain. You get assigned to your first starship. You meet your crew, and you leave space dock and embark on your 5-year mission. You explore strange new worlds, you seek out new life, you get into battles and such. Actually, that sounds like a lot of fun. Somebody do that. With this game, all we know is that we're just some guy in a ship flying around space. And quite frankly, it was not enough for us to hold our interest. When we think back to a game like, say, Fallout 3, where you have an opening that establishes a setting, who you are, and then you're off. Fallout 3 is a kind of different type of game from No Man's Sky, we admit, but we thought that No Man's Sky would be very similar to this experience. In Fallout, we can spend hours doing different side missions instead of focusing on the main story. But here, things just got really monotonous after a while. And while wandering around, we found that the graphics were actually pretty mediocre. Now, things do look nice from a distance, but up close is where you can really see the hiccups. It's just the limits of the randomization. 1,000 planets on paper sounds amazing, until you realize that it's all basically the same, just with different coats of paint. Speaking of which, we saw gameplay trailers where the graphics look a ton better than the final product. Gotta be honest, this gave us a little bit of an Aliens Colonial Marines vibe. Nah, I'm sure they would never falsely advertise their games in order to get people to buy them. Hey, that's crazy talk.
Yeah, this is why we don't pre-order games anymore.
For this review, we played both the PS4 and the PC versions of this game. And at the time of this review, we found the PS4 to be more stable, as we found the PC one to contain a great deal of lag. I know, right? A PC version of a game having technical issues.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Now, we were ready to tear this game into bits, and oh, believe me, we could at any time. But we then realized what the game was trying to do. Sort of. It's a game about free exploration and going from one place to another to see what is there. I mean, you can literally get lost for days or even months in this game, and for many, this can be a very relaxing, chill experience. But this is definitely not a game for everyone. It's got a very limited palette of textures, so all of the planets really do look very samey with just minor differences, and unfortunately, it just wasn't for us. So we really just can't recommend it at all. We do acknowledge that there is an audience for this, somewhere, somehow, and if you are willing to put the time in, you may get something out of it worthwhile. But for us, there is just nothing here. It was just a very bland time that we had in which we felt that we were spinning our wheels, getting nowhere fast. We need something to sink our teeth into in order to get us to spend hours of our time playing a game. A motive. I mean, we're sorry, but we can only review games based on our own experiences, and this one left us really wanting. And believe us, we tried to find the plot.
Okay, honestly, this game is an example of the hype culture in video games. At the end of the day, this is just a first-person, open-world collectathon with survival elements. But before anyone knew what this thing was, it was promoted to be the must-get game of our generation, the one that would open the door to a new landscape of gaming, the one that take things to the next level. And with that, so many people gobbled it up and transformed into this game's rabid fanbase, the kind that would go out of their way to send death threats to people who dared be the messenger informing the public that the game had to be delayed. Even send threats to the developers themselves for having to push it back.
Franchises like Sonic the Hedgehog are notorious for how divided and toxic fan bases can be. But at least Sonic the Hedgehog earned a fan base with a couple of decades of games and being one of the most recognizable video game icons of all time. But before No Man's Sky even hit the store shelves, it already had a cult of followers that made Sonic fans look tolerable. These are the kind of people that make all gamers look so terrible in the eyes of the public. And what's worse about all of this is they don't care. Bottom line, this type of behavior, no matter what fan base, should not be tolerated. It's just video games. For goodness sakes, grow up. So, what did you think about No Man's Sky? Did you like it? Was it everything you ever dreamed about? Was it the best game ever that made you orgasm?
Look at me, I just work here.
You're fired. So, before you go, oh, look, there's a big red subscribe button right there. And, yeah, tell them what's over there. I forget.
I'm fired. You do it yourself.
All right. There's a speed run, there's a retrospective, there's a Sega vs. NES series that we used to do, but he got fired, so apparently that just got canceled. But check out the episodes anyway. There might be some good stuff you like. More video game reviews. And look, there's all of our social media you can follow us on. It's really great stuff. You'll love this community. It's awesome. We don't curse.